All right. Good morning, everyone. I am Oluwabusola Akinyoju, I'm your host, and you're welcome to a webinar anchored by African Fashion Business Summit. You're all welcome. And also, I have with me here my co-host. She's Theodore Brown. You can introduce yourself, Theodore.
Hello everyone, my name is Taylor Brown. I can call me Teddy. Just so you can pronounce my name.
All right. So we have here a beautiful and talented Ijeamaka NWIZU. It's so nice to have you here, ma'am. She's the founder of Diakwu Cloth, beautiful, beautiful brand. You're welcome, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So nice.
Thank you.
So can we just jump right into it? Don't take too much time. Yeah. So can you tell us about yourself? We would like to meet you.
Okay, so my name is Ijeamaka NWIZU. You know that already. I am a lawyer by training, and I have practiced for a few years. Still practice off and on, but then also now I call myself a luxury textile designer and a sustainability enthusiast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. So a lawyer and designer, that's beautiful. It's a wonderful combo. That's
Thank you.
nice.
Thank you.
So I'd like to know how you ventured into fashion. I mean,
Right.
you mentioned earlier that you're a lawyer. I mean, what prompted you to go into fashion? Must have been inspired by something somehow.
I think I say that fashion. I've always liked fashion, but as a consumer. So being a fashion entrepreneur, I think that found me as opposed to me finding it. I think it's something that I sort of like stumbled into, and it pretty much started with and I tell this story all the time because it's a process that brought me here. It started with wanting to feed the community. There was a time that things were really tough in Nigeria. People could barely eat. So I wanted to feed that community. I approached the vicar in my church, or feed the community, anyone. And I approached the vicar in my church who said, well, that they had just planted a church and that they would be happy if I could feed that community. And I started doing that from my own resources. And at some point, I'm thinking, it means, I found that the people were getting very dependent on the food. And I thought, listen, it means that if for any reason I run out of money, that I would let a lot of people down. So I started wondering what I could do. And I had just had a wardrobe clear out at the time. And someone just said to me, well, you just cleared out your wardrobe. Instead of just, dumping it somewhere, why don't you just try and sell those clothes? So that is how Thrifty Slayer was born. Thrifty Slayer is a sister organization that is a non-profit. So we started selling those things on Instagram, making the money and feeding people. Then I became a bit more aware of, the climate situation. From my experience, like I would notice that the weather is getting extremely hot during the hot season. I would also notice that the weather in other places, very unusual weather patterns. And I questioned that and I researched it and found that, there is something called climate change that is happening. And I then developed something like climate anxiety, so to speak. So selling the things that I no longer wanted, I encouraged other people to give me things that they no longer wanted so that I could sell them and feed this community. And that's how it started. And then it became a situation where I never really wanted to see anything wasted. I didn't want to see the clothes thrown away. I didn't want to see anything go to waste, particularly fashion items. From there, it became a case of, well, how about these things that we're getting, the ones that we can't sell and the ones that we can't give away because they're not very good? We thought, okay, what need do we have in our community? Let's repurpose some of these things. So we started repurposing them into sanitary, reusable, washable sanitary towels. But that still was not enough to make use of all the textile waste. And I kept thinking, okay, I want to turn all this into fiber and use them as filling and, upholstery fillings and insulation and this and that. But that required a huge investment in capital equipment. So I thought, oh, okay, I can't do this. What can I do? What is a lower hanging fruit? And somewhere I came across weaving of textile waste. I think it was someone in India that was doing something like that. And I thought, well, okay, we can do this. And that's how Diakwu Cloth started. I decided, okay, we will weave textile waste. Um, and we started.
This is really inspiring. So the need of others prompted you into this.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah. So yeah, that's
Okay,
why I say I fell into it.
that's really nice. So Tina will take the next question.
Yeah. And in case you haven't noticed, I have Diakwu Cloth placed on me. This
Oh,
is Diakwu Cloth.
so, wow, it's nice.
Thank you.
It's really nice.
Okay,
It's
the
good.
next question.
Right.
We would like to know how you ventured into. Okay, that was already taken. So,
Yeah.
how has fashion impacted your life?
Right. How has fashion impacted my life? As a consumer, um, like I said, I love fashion. And but obviously with when you know better, you do better. So clearly I changed the way that I consume fashion. I started buying a lot less, and see, buying differently, shopping differently. And so yes, that is a positive impact that I would say that knowing everything I know um, has had on my life with fashion. How else has it impacted me? I have with with the charity shop, Thrifty Slayer, and with Diakwu Cloth. I like to think that I'm making some kind of a difference, however small. Like it's we're making secondhand items available to people, where some of them are not. Some are probably. We're also, apart from that, we're also ensuring that people don't throw things away. So a lot of the fashion items, household items that we get um, have been diverted from landfill or dump sites. So that's also some impact on the environment, which also indirectly impacts me. Then you also have the the gratification in seeing how Diakwu Cloth has impacted the lives of others, of the people who produce the cloth, of even the people who wear the cloth. So yeah, those are some of the things or some of the ways that I would say that fashion has impacted me at this point.
Also, you mentioned earlier that you fell into fashion through the needs of others, the passion you had for your needs. Like you didn't want to
Yeah,
see others go hungry, like to feed them and all of that. So, I mean, fashion is not an easy community actually. There are a lot of competitors and all of that. So, I want to know what designers, past and present, that inspired your brand. I mean, you must have come across some designers that really like made you go even further or something.
right. Well, something that I say, I don't know if it's that these designers have inspired the brand, or more of designers that I actually admire their work. And one that I've always really admired her work and her brand is Stella McCartney. Um, and she started this whole thing a long, long time ago. And you know, my interest in her originally wasn't necessarily because what she was doing was sustainable. It was just that I liked her product. And then over time, I found that, oh, this thing she's doing is fantastic. It's sustainable. It's good for the environment. And yeah, okay. So I would want to be a bit more invested in shopping that brand or in studying that brand. So that's one that I have liked for a very long time. Yeah, there are a lot of other, African designers, Indian designers that do a lot of sustainable stuff as well that I admire. Um,
Okay. All right, now. So, for viewers, we are going to go into the main topic for today, the sustainable textiles as a future for Africa brands. And yes, Mrs. Ijeamaka should be sharing her knowledge with us, and I know we're going to be inspired. So, Theodore's is going to take the first question.
Okay, so Mrs. Ijeamaka, can you share with us some of the projects you've worked with, like in the recent past, including like collaborations?
right. We what we've had when you say collaborations, we've had some designers approach us and ask for us to make fabrics for them to do their work. Nigerian designers, Nigerian international designers. We haven't we I don't know that it's in my place at this point to name names, but there are quite a few. They would come to us, and the good thing about it is that because we're able to weave to size, they know what it is that they want to make, and they say to us, "Okay, make me XYZ panels of this size or of this shape," and they work with those things. And yes, we're happy that it's getting out there. We're getting more and more people, fashion designers, showing interest. And the good thing about it too is that they also know that they can give us their scraps and we can weave their scraps for them. So it doesn't necessarily have to be us getting scraps from somewhere else. So for us, it's gratifying because it shows that the advocacy is working. People are now, or designers are interested in weaving their own scraps. And so that way recycling their waste or repurposing their waste, which is good.
Yes, yes, yes. So sustainability is becoming a viable option in the fashion world. Can you give us a brief explanation of sustainability in fashion so other viewers can have background
Um,
knowledge?
in sustainable, right?
Yes.
The thing with sustainability is that there isn't any one um, definition for it. But when you say that a product is sustainable, what you're pretty much referring to, or it pretty much centers around the environmental impact of that product. So the environmental and social impact of that product. So, you know, are you what are the processes involved in making the product? The people involved in making the product, how are they treated? How are they? And then even also the consumers. So for you to say that a product is sustainable, you need to it needs to be kind to the environment from end to end, from the way it's done, it's produced from the very beginning, all through the value chain, and you know, right down to how the consumers use your product. So maybe to elaborate, to be a bit clearer, and I will use Diakwu Cloth as an example. Why do we say that we're sustainable? We we work with textile waste, so we try as much as possible to not introduce new material. The only new material that we have is the thread that we use for the weaving. Um, so that's one thing. Now, also the people who do who weave, these are traditional weavers. They and they've come from their villages to do this, and they learned to weave from their mothers and grandmothers. But they pretty much abandoned the craft because it wasn't very viable for them. They couldn't really make ends meet just from weaving. And of course, we found that the craft is dying because it was very difficult even to find weavers. Um, so the idea behind Diakwu Cloth also is to encourage these weavers to say to them, listen, what you're doing is gold. It's, and we don't want to let it die. We shouldn't let it die. And then, of course, you had the challenge of also saying to them, well, I know that you typically weave with just thread, but this time we're going to incorporate fabric. And they're like, incorporate fabric. Okay. And a little resistant in the beginning, but then when they understood what it is we were trying to do, they became a bit more open-minded and open to accepting the incorporation of textile waste, and they started doing it well. What that also did was, we weave these cloths, we sell them, people buy them, and they're paid a living wage. They're able to, they're doing amazing things. They're able to send money home to their families at home. Some of them have brought their families over to Abuja, where we are. They're going to school. It's changed their lives, and that's what this cloth is about. And that's why when people say, Diakwu Cloth fashion, I'm like, it's not really about the fashion. The fashion is almost incidental. It's really about the impact it has on the environment and on the people. And then we're now saying to people, well, okay, buy this cloth because of what it is. Um, and as you buy it, we hope that you would make it and it would last for a very long time for you, and you would tell others about it. Um, and that, in buying it also, you change the way you consume. You buy less. You become a bit more particular about where you buy from. You check that the people you buy from, that the people who make the fabric are taken care of, and all that. That's really what sustainability is. The ethics, when people's lives are improved, etc. So that's it, really.
That's really purposeful. I love the part where you said like how the people making it are treated and the consumers also, and that's really purposeful because
Yeah,
sometimes designers just think it's just about the dress, how it looks on me, and all of that. But
yeah.
the work that goes into it, how it's changing lives and all of that, that's very impressive, man.
And also, I'd like to use the keyword climate action. The fact that we need to. If you're afraid of the fact that sometimes you go out and it's extremely hot, or you you're in a place where you've never had floods and all of a sudden it's flooding, and everybody needs to start taking action, and it's not necessarily just about what you wear, it's about the way you live. Um, and even as I say it, I'm not perfect with it. I know how difficult it has been to introduce changes in my family, my immediate family. To say, don't buy bottled water, take water from the filter. Don't stop using plastic. Let's buy glass containers. It's tough, when you go into the grocery store. Don't buy things that are wrapped in plastic. Buy the loose fruit. Take your grocery bags with you. Don't take buy bags from the shop. But it's tough. but we keep pushing, and we keep trying to get it right. Um, so yeah, if and I find also that people don't make the connection. You see all the things that are going on, the environment, and is degrading and all sorts of things, and you don't quite connect it to the way you live. You think, oh, why is this happening? What's going on? But you don't think, well, okay, maybe I'm contributing to it in some way, and maybe I should go back. We never quite make that connection, and it's something that we're trying to do to encourage people to make that connection and make small changes. Small changes. Mm.
And I guess that's a word for all of us to
Yeah.
improve ourselves and
Even for
adjust.
myself, I still struggle. So we're still,
Yes,
it's a work in progress, but at least most
yes,
important is to
yes.
make the effort.
As we go on, we'll get better.
That's the plan.
So how can sustainable textiles become a future game for African brands?
I think that when we say this sustainable textiles, it's who we are. It's the way our ancestors um, clothed themselves in the past. We always have woven with with traditional looms, not powered by any kind of electricity or anything. So African fashion brands should just go back to the way, look back into history and go back to the way our ancestors did things, and improve where they absolutely must without a negative impact on the environment. So I think that a lot of people are recognizing that. A lot of designers are recognizing that and are actually walking that talk in Africa. So, which is good. It's just really for even more to come on board and to get a bit more creative and to collaborate more. Um, I remember when we started, we thought, oh, we'll make fabrics and then produce. And then at some point we said, you know what? No, we just want to make fabrics. The people who produce can come and take the fabrics and produce into garments or homeware or anything else that they want. But at least let's do what it is that we're good at. And that's where collaborations come in, as opposed to competition. There's enough market in the world for everyone. There's no need for the jealousy, for the envy. Um, we can all really just collaborate and improve the industry. Improve the industry.
All right, that is very beautiful. I feel like this is a call for everybody, even beyond fashion designing and
Yeah.
non design. So Taylor is going to take the next question.
Okay.
Okay, Ma. Do you believe that every designer should jump on the sustainability movement?
I have a problem with the fact that it's viewed as a trend by some. So when you say jump on the movement, it tends to suggest jump on a trend that will eventually pass and then they can go on to the next best thing. So you know, something I've always said, every single time I found myself doing something, I didn't know what it was I was doing. Someone else just said to me, oh, this thing you're doing, it's called sustainability. It's this, it's that. I remember when we started making the reusable sanitary pads with textile waste. Um, and someone said, oh, this thing you're doing is called the circular economy. So I went and started reading up on what the circular economy was. And that's how I knew that, okay, to use clothes that I would have ended up, or people would have ended up throwing away, selling those that we could sell, giving away the ones that we could, and then the ones that were really bad, we could then cut them up and repurpose them and turn them into this very useful product. That it was sort of like a move towards circularity. So I learned that word after someone pointed it out to me. So even when we started doing what we were doing, it was, where we started weaving with fabric, textile waste and all that. And someone said, oh, it's actually called sustainability and this and that. So I think it should be, it shouldn't be something that designers should jump on because they think it's a trend. I think it's something that they should do because it's something they have a keen interest in, that they also want to make a change and are looking for ways to make that change. And I think where you're that invested, you're better with it. You do better, and you achieve the ultimate goal, which
Yeah.
really, at the end of the day, is to transform the fashion industry, make a positive impact, and yeah. So it would be good for everyone to practice sustainability in whichever way that they can. But to just jump on it as a trend because it seems to be what is going on now is not ideal.
So that is very enlightening. So I guess you guys said that it's not a trend, it's something everyone should do. Yes. Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, so going forward to the next. Right. Okay. You already mentioned that you use textile waste and all of that, but I'd still like to ask again so you can give us a deeper explanation. Where do
Mm.
you source your textiles from? And how do you recycle your waste?
Scrap.
Yes. Ma?
Okay, so for our scraps, we get them from everywhere, all over. We have people gather their scraps, and some of the designers that we we weave their scraps for them. They send from Lagos, from Abuja. Then we ourselves also go on collection drives. We have brands that are more than happy to give us their waste. We have Magnisi, who is a leather goods and accessories manufacturer. She gives us her offcuts and scraps. We have Design. They give us their offcuts and scraps. So we have quite a few um, designers in Abuja that give us their cutting room waste. And the good thing about it is that it's all sorts of different waste. It's different textiles. You have the really bling bling from laces and sequin garments and beaded and stoned garments. Then you have the crepes. You have the. It's a mishmash of all sorts of different fabrics. And then when we come and bring them into the store, we sort them according to whatever fabric design we want to make, and we process them. Now, in processing them, what we do is clean them up, cut them into the size of strips that we want to use, and then we weave. And that's it. We also use our cotton, like this one that I have on. We have our cotton that we've spun, hand spun. And so it's raw cotton. We get the raw cotton, we take the seeds off, we fluff it up, spin it, and have these threads that we also incorporate in our design. Yeah, and we're also, something else we do is that we train young people, and a few of we've trained one, we trained two at some point, and that's the thing. It's hard work, and so you find that you may start with like 5 trainees, and at the end of the day, you have only one left. And that's what we've had. But we had the one left, and we employed her. We now have another trainee on board, and they're doing so well. Young ladies who will learn this and also pass it on to their children and their children's children. So it's slow, but there is progress.
Yes, that's very nice. I mean, that's how all of this sustainability becomes transgenerational, and that way we can improve our society. So, Taylor, you can go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. So concerning everything you just said, how do you recycle your textiles? Like when you get them?
When you say how do we recycle our textiles, what, the scraps?
Yes.
Well, that's what I said. You just get them, and when you do, you you cut them up into the sizes that you require, and you incorporate them in your weaving. So that's upcycling that fabric, changing it from scraps to something, to fabric.
Okay, so there are no pieces left from these scraps, like something you can
Oh, we,
throw.
we always keep our pieces. We never
Oh,
throw pieces away.
mm,
And that's something they know. In fact, someone at work in the workshop got suspended for throwing pieces away.
wow.
You don't do that. And it's something that they have come to learn and appreciate in the workshop. So what we also do is that sometimes the designs or styles that we subsequently weave um, are informed by the offcuts and scraps that we have that we now want to reuse. So we don't throw anything away. No textile waste or scraps is thrown away. We always look for ways to reincorporate.
That's nice.
So we're hoarders.
That's really nice. First time hearing the you don't throw waste
In a
away.
good way. We're hoarders in a good way.
Okay. How can sustainability textiles become a future game for African brands?
We already asked that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you already mentioned that
We'll start
earlier.
with
Um, what does the future hold for African brands based on their choice of materials and fabrics?
Sorry, I didn't quite get that. What does the future hold for African brands based on?
Based on their choice of materials and fabrics.
No, I think that um, it's very important for African brands to start really looking at being more eco-conscious in choosing their materials. Um, and the fantastic thing about it is that in Africa there's a huge resource. I've seen water hyacinth being used. I've seen raffia being used. Textile waste. There's just so much that can be done with a lot of what we have already, and there's really no need to to go outside what we have. And because people are becoming more conscious and wanting to change the way they consume, I think it would be the best interest of most brands to also try to shift um, and use things that harm the environment less. Use raw materials that, as much as possible, don't even harm the environment if they can help it. So I think every brand should really be thinking about how to move in that direction for the future. That's what I think. There still will be. I think maybe it's catching on a little slower with the African consumer, but it is catching on. And at some point, people are going to be asking very pertinent questions. They would want to know where the things that go into their clothes come from. They would want to know who is making the things, who is making their clothes. And they want to make sure that these people are not making their clothes in unsafe environment, that they are well paid, that blood is not going into the clothes that they they're buying, because if people are dying because they're making your clothes because they're underpaid, it's not something that you would really want to be a part of. So I think that to a large extent, African brands, yeah, will do well to start, interrogating some of these things a bit more. That's what I think.
Yes. So, viewers, there, fashion designers, this is a call to action. You have to do better.
Oh,
Do
yeah.
better. Okay. So, well, what are the future plans for Diakwu Clothes?
Oh gosh.
Do you
We, we have all sorts of big plans. How many of them come to fruition? We are yet to see. But then, really, at this point, it's um, to make people to make our cloth acceptable to people all over the world, to make our cloth recognizable, um, and take its place on the map, on the African map. Because the fantastic thing about this cloth is we're not from a particular Nigerian tribe. We use all the weaving techniques from the various tribes. We have the Ibira weaving technique, the um, Ashoke weaving technique. We use all those, so we're not limited to weaving in a certain way. The focal point is that is the material that we're using to weave. So it's a fabric that we hope that with time will become really recognizable. If you see it somewhere, you're thinking, this fabric looks, because it looks tweed-like. It's maybe it's Diakwu cloth. Is it? Is it not? We want it to get to the point where that it becomes that recognizable. Um, and then also, of course, we plan to set up hubs and weaving communities so that we can get more people weaving and more people getting paid. Um, and yeah, that's our short term our plans in the immediate. Now, going further, I guess what more could a textile designer want if not to have your designs out there for all to see and enjoy and appreciate and use? So yeah, that's our plan, our big plan for the Cloth.
That's a big plan. So this leads me to my next question. I mean, you said earlier that it's not a trend. Sustainability is not a trend. It's something all of us should be involved in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we have to say that sustainability is becoming commercialized. And how does Diakwu Cloth intend to stand out in the midst of many brands claiming to be sustainable?
We what I always say is that we Diakwu Cloth is not fashion for fashion's sake. Diakwu Cloth. So we will just do what it is that we know to do, and we believe that it will stand out. We won't. We're not. We're in competition only with ourselves. We just want to be better than we were yesterday. And because what we're doing is something that we also want to be widespread, we're teaching a lot of other people to do it as well. Anybody who's willing to come into our studio to learn, we're happy to teach them and train them. So it's not if I, you know, my understanding of your question is um, maybe I'm quite talking about. I think that for us, it's just to do what we do and just keep doing it. That's it for us. Yeah.
All right.
And believe that it is enough in itself to make us stand out.
All right. Can you kindly share a piece of advice to young sustainable textile designers who are struggling to stay afloat in this competitive market?
Well, what I would say, it's tough out there. I know that. I know that people's purchasing power is also um, is affected. That people are probably not able to buy as much as, or as many people are not able to buy as they would have been able to in the past, and that also in itself impacts designers and stuff. But what I would also say too is, um, number one, focus on not producing too much at once. Focus on producing fewer items for better quality. They market themselves and they speak for themselves, and that way you can actually charge them or charge charge the value that they command because of the quality. I would also say that young designers should um, stay focused. Don't be distracted by all the noise. Don't also be deceived by all the noise out there, because you might look at this other brand and think, oh, that they're doing great. I'm not doing quite as well. What is it that I'm not doing? Self doubt comes into it. Imposter syndrome comes into it. But if you stay focused and just work in line with your passion, I think that at the end of the day, they will get the results that they want.
Yeah. That's really beautiful. That's a great advice for young aspiring designers out there. It was really an enlightening session. If there's something I got, that purposeful fashion, that really inspired me a lot. You're not just doing it for people. You're not doing it. Oh, I look good. This dress is nice. Yes, that's part of it. But I mean, lives are changed in the process and all of that, and that is very beautiful. So think we've come to the end of today's session, and we're really grateful you did this with us. It's really a good way to end September. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, ma. So you can follow a brand on Instagram at Diakwu Cloth. Let's say thank you to our beautiful Ijeamaka NWIZU. We're really inspired by your brand. It's really nice.
Thank you. And yes, like she said, please follow Diakwu Cloth on Instagram. Follow us. We have a YouTube channel. If you could go and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Yeah, and Thrifty Slayer too. If you go and look at Thrifty Slayer and what it is that we do, we have um, pre-loved items that look absolutely stunning. And this is September, and September is second-hand September. So please go to Thrifty. Well, September is over, but yeah, go to Thrifty Player and
All right.
Before we end the live,
thank
please
you.
can we see your the scarf on your shoulder?
Oh, my fabric.
Yeah.
I don't know
Is
if
it
you.
nice?
Yeah, it's a very textured fabric. It's not smooth, and then you have this, which is the spun cotton that we've incorporated in the weave,
I
and then
love
you
the
have our
pattern.
tassels. Um, it has a. I don't know if you can see it.
Yes, you
The
do.
light. So yeah, it has a that
The
pattern all over
pattern.
it.
Yes. I really love the pattern.
It's actually quite pretty, if I may say so myself. I like it.
It is really
Yes.
pretty.
It's actually
Very comfy.
thank you.
Yes. It looks really nice. It looks motherly. Yeah,
It
that's
no,
it.
well, it depends on how you choose to make it. You
Yes,
could make
the
it a
stylist.
beautiful skirt, and it depends on how you choose to style it. You can wear it as a short, and that's the
Yes.
fantastic thing about it. That's how versatile it is. It can be anything you want it to be. It can be homeware. It can be a table runner. It can be a garment. It can be art. You can hang it. And the fantastic thing too is that we can weave according to whatever pattern it is that you want. If you want it to have to be triangular, we can give you that. If you want it to be rectangular with whatever measurement, we can do that. So that's also the fantastic thing about it. You're being able to weave to measurement, to your pattern, to size. It's it's that's something that also is an attraction to a lot of the people who come to us. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Well, that's the aura it gave me. It's giving me a mother vibe, and I really love it. And it looks good on you too.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
I
ma'am.
love Diakwu Cloth. So yeah.
Oh.
I wear it everywhere I go. Even if it doesn't fit, I make it fit. I look for a way to, you know, put it
Yes.
in if I'm going out or yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the viewers have definitely seen the design. It's nice. It's really nice. I love
Yeah.
it. Yes. So guys, don't forget follow. You can follow our page on Instagram at Diakwu Cloth. Very important. So you can know more about your environment, the social impact fashion can bring to the world and all of that. So thank you very much, Ijeamaka NWIZU. We're glad you did this with us.
I'm glad I did
And
too. Thank you.
I am your host, Akinyoju Oluwabusola, and my
And
co-host.
Taylor Brown.
All right, guys. Yeah, bye, bye. Thank you
Bye,
very
Mom.
much. Bye, everyone.